welcome, thanks to my channel. First, let me just say thank you for joining us. We actually go back by a year when you first became a part of the community, when you played my server, Marvel MC. You started spreading out your server playlist, and I was actually surprised to find out that you crossed bridges with Tracy and had such an impact due to that affiliation. Before I start the interview, is there a certain way you feel about all that's happened in regards to what Tracy has put you through with this server drama?
Well, just mad, mainly.
Understandable. Question number one. In the beginning of February, one of my sources claimed that you took half of the staff from Epic after I called them desperate. Is this true? If so, explain to us how you aren't a villain in this, despite that.
Well, gosh, I don't even remember how many staff members we had. I did take two players. I don't remember their IGN, so I'd have to look that up for you.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. It was one was. Okay, yeah, I don't remember either.
No, it was Black Hoodie Kid
Yeah, Black Hoodie
and
Kid and Tim Drake.
Roy.
The
Roy.
Yeah, Roy. Yeah, he goes by Tim Drake now.
Oh, that's him. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened with that?
Well, pretty much after. So Tracy had already made me mad a few times, and we already revolted once, and then eventually he started just getting cranky and wouldn't listen to what we had to say. And then the second time it happened, I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. And so because Roy, uh, Black Hoodie, and I were just all friends, I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
do you guys want to come with me? And they said sure.
Right. And to be specific, how'd they make you mad? Tracy was being a terrible owner, correct? In summary.
Yeah, pretty much. He would, even though I was the one paying him almost practically weekly at that point, just small increments of money to keep the server up. He would not. Sometimes it wouldn't even go towards the server, and it would close down for a few, and then other times yeah, like I would be the co-owner, I'm paying, but I would have no say in anything. He would be like a total dictator over us.
Right, right. So you were paying for the server, I assume, uh, most of the time, and you were still being treated like everyone else.
Well, I don't mind being treated like everybody else, but the way he was treating us, yeah, I do mind.
Right. Um, to my knowledge, you leaving the server with up to half of Tracy's staff team was the end of it by that point, or should I say near the end, considering Tracy still owes you money. My question is, what exactly caused the rivalry between you two? Whom was supposed to what caused rivalry between you and Tracy? Whom was supposed to be your partner in running Epic? You've not have answered that within the previous question. So in case you have, tell me exactly where did it start?
Well, it probably. Oh gosh, I don't even think I can remember. Um, it probably started the first time we all started the staff team and we made this little channel about without Tracy, of course, because we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk about him and pretty much he would have to say who could be what characters. Sometimes we wouldn't get to choose. I mean, I got to choose, but he always got mad at me whenever I chose my own character. And then he'd do all these he would always make himself the staff of the month, because we had a staff and player of the month there, and he would not
Wow.
allow me to. Sorry.
I said, wow. He made himself staff of the month every month.
Yeah, and pretty
Okay.
much he wouldn't give me access to console. He didn't know how to use PEX. I did, and he wouldn't give me access to console, even though he wouldn't give me access to PEX, because you have to have console to use PEX unless you add them through console, and he doesn't know how to do that. Um, and so finally, I was the first time around, I'm just kind of like, okay, guys, we need to make up a plan. We're probably not gonna leave now, but we need to let Tracy know how we're feeling about this, because he needs to change his mind.
Right. And for those who don't know, PEX is a group plugin and permissions plugin. Stands for Permissions X. That's a very important plugin for a server to have. And without that, permissions won't be set up properly. And now I understand why the server is so incomplete. I understand why players can't do certain commands because Tracy doesn't know how to use it, and you weren't allowed console to help out with that.
Correct.
Question number 3. Despite majority of the staff team not being very fond of Tracy, there were still those who didn't have any problems. Describe those individuals. How exactly did they treat Tracy compared to you and the others who bailed?
Oh gosh. Who were? I don't know the ones who that. I don't know the ones that stayed.
All right, so
Uh,
let's think of it this way. Let's say Tracy did treat someone the way they like to be treated. Was there a certain way that they acted in order to get that treatment? Would you say they respected Tracy differently?
well, I feel like the majority of our staff were hired. Like we had about two, three, four, maybe not no four at the most. Um, Before the first time it happened, and then by the time new people came, like new people were hired. First of all, Tracy was also the dictator of who was accepted. I mean, I understand like acceptance for staff and stuff, but he
Mm-hmm.
was also very biased. He's like, oh my gosh, that person's not cute, like, and yeah, like all of the like admins and stuff. They're like, all right, like send a picture of your face to the Discord so like we know what you look like if you're cute or not. From Tracy, Tracy saying that, and so sorry, I forgot the question. Oh yeah. No, okay, yeah. I got it. So pretty much, I know. Like, I just feel like Tracy. I'm pretty sure people had prejudice because they knew Tracy was a bad person. Also, because the majority of people there were from JC and knew Tracy, but
Right.
otherwise, I don't think they did anything bad to deserve the way that Tracy just treated all of us.
All right. I'm gonna be a little more direct now.
Okay.
I had a source go in Epic, to see exactly how Tracy would treat certain people, and I have proof of how Tracy treated you guys. Um, but I remember a player in particular being treated much more positive. And by the looks of it, the players that were being treated okay with Tracy were being suck ups. Basically, had to kiss up to Tracy. Me personally, I received proof of Tracy only treating those positively if they were kiss ups, laughed at everything he said, agreed to everything, things like that. So, if I'm not mistaken, I recall you telling me that Tracy sent you some media that wasn't very appropriate on its own. There's nothing wrong with that. However, do you care to go into detail to explain to everyone how there is something wrong with this and when it comes to your situation in particular?
About like what he sent, like
Yeah.
those. Okay. Uh, so like, what's my opinion on it? Or like,
Yeah, explain why there's something wrong with that. Explain the context of the situation, why you didn't want this or whatever.
okay, well, pretty much after Tracy, unfortunately, on my end, after Tracy knew what I looked like, he started getting like. I mean, I knew like he was like homosexual and all, but like
Mm-hmm.
not like I mean, I go either way, but I was like Tracy is just too. I mean, like okay. Anyways, so Tracy just started getting really like close, like uncomfortably close. That like I
Flirtatious?
was yeah, that I like kind of like haha like yeah that's like funny whatever, and then it just kind of like got like okay like every time I would join he's like oh hey cutie, even like I've asked him to stop, like he would constantly harass me about that, and then eventually he just sent like pictures to my Discord, and when I went back to like not like just screenshot them because I'm like okay I'm gonna like if I'm gonna leave the server I'm gonna leave the server with this person being arrested for sending that sort of stuff to a minor, and he deleted them from my Discord from the DM, and so yeah, I'm pissed off that he just gets away with that because I like now I just there's no proof
Because
that
now you can't prove it.
yeah
And I understand because you couldn't. It's not like you could screenshot it or whatever. Because then that'd be on
yeah because
you.
that would just be weird too if someone went through my computer like what is
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying not only did they send you that without permission, and you're a minor, but you also received kind of harassment because you said stop on the server, right?
Correct. And it wasn't just on the server too. Like if it like on the Discord as well.
Right. Question number 5. Earlier on, I mentioned that Tracy owes you money. In your point of view, how is this the case?
Okay, well, as I also said earlier, I was paying monthly for this, and eventually, like, I was working, I had a direct income, and I was fine at that point, and I'm kind of like, okay, cool, like, sure, whatever, like, I'm the co-owner, like, I'll help out. And then sometime around October, the store that I worked at closed down because my boss was dying, and no one else could manage it, and so we were just like, okay, well, we can't keep this up with the funds, so we had to close down. And I'm like, oh shoot, like, I mean, first of all, my boss is dying, so like that's awful. But also because now I don't have a direct income, like I can't help pay. And so I did mention it in the Discord server, like, hey guys, like I just lost my job. Like I might be a little slow like lately, like because I don't want to lose money, like I want to save money.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually Tracy just kept like, hey, where's the money? Where's the money? So finally I started monthly again, even though like the money in my
Even
bank
though
account's
you need to
deteriorating at
save
this
it,
point.
right?
Yeah. So like at this point, I'm not making any to like I'm just having like a negative income right now because I'm just losing
Yeah.
more money than I'm getting.
Yeah.
And so like maybe half a year later, or not half a year later, like sometime before I left, like soon before I left. So it was a few months later, and finally I left, and I was mad because I'm like, great, all of that money and work I put into it, like it's all gone, and like I can't really do anything about this. So I told my Black Hoodie and Roy about it, and they're like, yeah, like that's not fair. Like he owes me like $60, and I DM'd Tracy about it. He blocked me. I made an alt account on my Discord, asked him about it, and he said like that's not true. So I brought up this bank statements and showed him, hey, you owe me $60. He's like, well, I'll give you $30 at the most. I'm like, okay, send me the money. So he sent me $10 and blocked me again. So he now owes me $50 and still refuses to do so.
Okay, what the hell?
Yeah.
All very understandable. All of it is very understandable. One of my sources, and I were all, and I quote, one of my sources said, and I quote, what money is he trying to get back? Money he spent on the server before he left? I explained that it was, that was contributed to be an owner alongside Tracy, which didn't
Yeah.
happen at all,
Yeah.
even though you
Exactly.
paid. I realized I realized that you paid to help keep the server up and be treated like a co-owner and be treated at least equal to Tracy, basically, because
Correct.
you're that role. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
paying for the server and still get treated like shit, basically.
Correct.
Even then, Tracy should not treat anyone like shit at all, especially if they're your staff team.
Yes.
On the contrary to that, you were treated like a peasant, just like the other staff. It's one thing to not have console, but as you say, Fang, you still didn't have your perms. Some may say, oh, but if you willingly, some may say, oh, but if he willingly spend it on the server, then he would have been aware he might not get it back. It was already used. But what most people wouldn't understand is that you didn't necessarily get what you were paying for.
Yes, and uh, I didn't think I was ever gonna leave the server at that point. It's like, hey, like that's doing better than the rest of my servers, might as well stay with this one. I didn't know I was gonna leave and need my money back. But also, I forgot to mention this earlier. When it just reminded me when you're talking about like co-owner and being like respected as an owner. Whenever like I would accept someone as a helper, or because like I really like them, they had a great application. Like I think they're qualified for the job. I'd accept them as helper.
Oh, hold
Or
on. You sound a little muffled. Can you repeat that?
so like if I would accept someone as a helper, or because like great application, etc., he would get mad at me, and I'm like, okay, like so this one incident, I forgot his name. It has something with fire or flame in it. I think he's on your server. I don't remember. And so I accepted him as helper, and because I did that, and uh, apparently Tracy did not like that I accepted someone as helper. He took away my co-owner role and then punished me. Gave me the punish role on Discord as well, didn't give me any perms to see any channels, didn't let me speak in Minecraft chat, didn't let me do anything, and the role I had was under punishment for being naughty. Uh,
That was the reason they gave for being naughty?
yeah, he said for being naughty because I accepted someone as helper, and he would take my role, my co-owner role, and all my permissions just for the heck of it whenever he felt like it or whenever he was slightly angered at me.
It's true. The money paid to Tracy went toward the server staying up, but in return for Fang's contributions was to be treated as an owner and run the server with Tracy, not stay beneath a dictating server owner and continue to be treated like crap. For the record, I'm not biased, viewers. I seem more supportive than neutral for starters because I treat someone as my right shoulder if they paid me to run the server with them. I just feel the betrayal Fang here is going through. My sixth and final question is, if someone new the superhero server community were to encounter a dictating server owner, do you think it's worth bowing down to potentially get your way and earn staff? As opposed to that, do you think it's even worth being rebellious if not?
I mean, if someone new was to join, of course, it's kind of like you wouldn't really know. Like
Yeah, you
at
wouldn't know at
first, someone
first.
might think like, oh, like hey, this isn't half bad, but then you like start seeing their true intentions, and like, oh wait, like at first they're not gonna know because Tracy's gonna be sucking up to them at first, being like, oh my gosh, like hi, welcome, like if you need any help, let me know, yada yada yada.
Interesting.
Yeah, but otherwise, like the second they get comfortable, like they're gonna be okay. This is bad. It's like mind control, basically. Like they don't see the true who he really is, and sometimes that leads to being stuck up. But other times, when people aren't stuck up and obeying his every command, that's when he gets angry and they see, oh wait, he's a dictator. He's gonna do this, blah 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 blah, control all this, and then they get angry, and then Tracy just ends up banning them, no warnings, no nothing, because they're speaking their mind about the server.
Right. So let's say you do realize this and you don't take action yet. What would you decide? Do you think it's worth kissing up to a server owner just because they're acting a certain way and being a dictator basically?
Well, first off, it's not worth it to suck up to. I mean, in the end, you're just going to be alone with them because nobody's going to want to stay. And I was in those shoes when, like, I did know, like, after this first time it happened, I did know, and then I started like sucking up to Tracy a little bit. I'm like, okay, like I'm scared that he's going to take my role away again, or this is going to happen.
So you were like under some sort of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And for the viewers out there, it is not as she goes by Tracy. Don't be fooled by that. Um,
I got into that this video. I got into that.
yeah. So I was under that same exact situation when I knew how Tracy really was, but I did not take action until finally, like a whole bunch of us just agreed, like, hey, this isn't all right. And then when we confronted him about it again, he just banned us all, took all our rings,
Yep, I
took
have I
all
have
our
the
perms.
screenshots. They'll see the responses Tracy gave. I remember I think one screenshot was like shut the F up. I'm right, you're wrong.
Exactly. Like if you were not with him, you were against him,
Right.
and he was the only one with himself.
That's the right way to put it. The exact way to put it. So as opposed to that, um, considering the way Tracy responded to the rebellion he started, do you think it's worth being rebellious? For the next person who encounters this situation, do you think it's worth being rebellious?
I mean, if it's a situation like this when it's like dictatorship and nobody's standing up, eventually, like, yeah, it's worth to rebel. If
Mm-hmm.
it, like you can't just let's use Russia for example. If you're just like Stalin, like a communist but still dictatorship-ish, like they're gonna control everything. Like, are you just gonna sit there? That's just using this as an analogy. Are you gonna sit there and let your family starve, or are you gonna do something about it?
Right. I feel tremendous pain for all you had to go through, in all honesty, Fang. The situation is on a much higher scale compared to what I had to go on about in the previous case file video. For those who don't know, An unsupervised staff member was very grudge holding and took advantage of the owner's absence to be very toxic toward disliked players and over authoritative. Link to that one will be in the description. Be sure to check it out while it's still up. Anyways, comparing that to someone who put a lot of financial effort into a server, only for the owner to continue to disrespect, defame, and not only take advantage of the team's voluntary service as staff members, but to have the audacity to make the others look like the not so bright ones. I wish I knew what was going through this person's mind. It's like whenever one baneful figure bites the dust, another one comes along to collect the particles and redistribute yet another toxic environment. Fang, thanks for coming. Thank you for being my second interviewee. This additional side to go along with my input really helps people get a better perception of what these case file videos are trying to say. So I appreciate your assistance, man. Now, let's get back on with the video. That was what WhiteFang had to say about his experience with an Epic, and it was a very surprising way to experience working for a server owner. So now, allow me to conclude my response to Tracy making a dartboard of me and my past for the better of his service potential of interest. Mates, if you hate me or hold a huge ass grudge against me for whatever reason, or personal experiences that we've had, I'm not gonna hate you for it if it's no secret. But please, don't be a pot that consists of what you call me out on, because that makes me the kettle. In other words, if you're going to call me out on my shit from 3 years ago, don't be controversial, because if I'm gonna make videos defending people who had to put up with crap from toxic figures, then I'm sure as hell going to defend myself from those who are an accessory to my reputation being denounced. But most importantly, the friendships I have with those who take a chance and look past that crap. The original description for the first case file video I've ever done was some players need to have a spotlight put on them, otherwise people can't outlook the darkness. That pretty much summarizes the purpose of these case file videos, because without these videos, more people would still make the mistake of becoming closely acquainted with people like Domoniquaaaa, J-Spark, and the newest collection, TracyMusic. There are several lessons I want y'all to learn from the past two case file videos on TracyMusic. 1. Don't take advantage of a staff team. Having the respect of those who want to lend a hand is no excuse or free pass to be Hitler MC. 2. When being publicly confrontational to someone, don't include the same consistencies of what you call them out on. 3. Having a partner willing to help a server financially is as good as a commitment gets. Don't take that for granted. 4. If you open a server to have players, finish it before you upload to Planet Minecraft. 5. Never ever fuel your server with drama as if it's normal. There's a problem in plain sight if your players join your server to talk shit about another player or server. Using that as a way to motivate your players to join your server without being disinterested is a desperate move to make. That's not what this branch of the Minecraft RP servers community is for. We're meant to have potential. Don't make JC look bad. Don't make Marvel MC look bad. Don't even make DCU look bad. Marvelcraft? Okay, I mean, don't make the rest of us superhero servers with the actual effort put into it look worthless simply because you prefer to make the decision of using toxicity as an advantage. Miss us with that BS and depart yourself from this community before you decide to make a reality TV based Minecraft server. The next case file video will be a little more personal, but also a very important community warning. Look forward to it, mates. Subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to be ready for it. See you again next time. Goodbye.